You know, there once was a time, and not so very long ago, when the BlackBerry brand phone was synonymous for smartphone. They were everywhere, and in places like in Washington, D.C., here, they were bordering on ubiquitous. Well, not so much anymore. With iPhones and Androids and Evos and dozens of others, BlackBerry's market share has shrunk. However, there's still a big market for BlackBerries, in part because of how they work. And that's also getting them into trouble with some governments around the world. Well, joining us now by Skype is David Calloway. He's editor-in-chief of the website MarketWatch. David, thanks so much for the time. And tell us, just give us first a little bit about BlackBerry and the company that's behind it.
Well, BlackBerry is, the ubiquitous BlackBerry, as you said, is made by a Canadian company called Research in Motion. It's been around for many years. It is the device, the preferred device of the investment banking and Wall Street and financial community globally. And like you said, for a long time it was the smartphone. Now there are a lot of other devices out there, the iPhone, for example, the Android, which are more web-based than the BlackBerry, and they're eating into its market share. So the future is a little bit hazier for Research in Motion these days, as reflected by its stock, made worse by the fact that some of the authoritarian governments around the world this week are starting to pipe up and say that they want a little bit more control over how people are using these things, which is worrisome.
Well, now, to that very point, it's my understanding that BlackBerry encrypts its texts and its messages. Now, don't other wireless phone services do that too?
I believe so, yeah. But I don't think that what's happening here, where you're seeing Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates and Indonesia, India, commenting about this and kind of rising up. I think what's happening is one of them reached out, and some of the others that have been worried about it are reacting by making their concerns public. They're commenting really on the fact that the BlackBerry is still the most popular device in those countries, at least by the people that they're most eager to control, the free-moving, elite financial community.
Well, now, you've in fact mentioned Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates recently have come out. They said they want to ban the use of the BlackBerries starting in October for text messages at the very least. And we saw this week also Indonesia came out. They said they don't have plans to ban the BlackBerry, but they have requested the encryption codes from RIM. If this is happening with Indonesia, it's probably going to start happening with other countries as well. What's RIM's response been so far?
So far, it's been, in my opinion, okay, not strong enough. They certainly haven't kowtowed to any of these governments, and but they are working towards solutions, and how these solutions come out, I think, is going to be very important, because I think if you see RIM buckle under to these demands, you're going to see countries making other demands than other technology folks. We saw the issues with Google and China earlier this year. China's had well-publicized issues with Yahoo as well. Now, if we start seeing BlackBerry knuckle under, I think you're going to see a lot of these countries, under the guise of stopping terrorism, really make a leap for more control over fast-moving technological innovation. So that's why it's important, I think, for RIM to really stand up to these countries right now, and why it's important that the U.S. government, exemplified by Hillary Clinton's statements earlier this week, is getting involved as well, because it's not such a technology issue, really. It's a freedom of communications issue.
You know, I'm wondering about possible backlash here, or unintended backlash. You know, someone was just relating to me today their experience in Dubai, and he said, you know, a number of people carry two phones with them. They carry an iPhone because it's cool, and they carry a BlackBerry because it encrypts, and it does it very well. Now, with a fan base like that, won't these bans be hard to enforce, and could there even be some sort of economic backlash against these countries?
You know, Doug, I don't think it would be serious enough. It's just not that huge a ban, a group of people that's carrying them around. Any sort of boycott or economic backlash, I don't even think that, despite Hillary Clinton's statements, the U.S. government is going to make that much of a serious issue of it, other than to pay lip service. Look, these things, the BlackBerry it's encrypted, but it's not fail-safe, right? Witness the fact that Obama's people won't let him use his BlackBerry. So I think and now it's still a small issue that affects BlackBerry as a company and their revenue in some of these countries. But like I said, it could become a much bigger snowball effect if BlackBerry starts to buckle under. If we see them do it, other technology companies may follow. The quest for revenue and profit on Wall Street sometimes undermines what's morally right.
You mentioned earlier this year and Google's battles with China. We saw where it got them, but Google held firm with China in that case. Your sense at this point, whether RIM and the BlackBerry folk are going to hold steady in opposing these moves, or whether they're going to have to sort of buckle in at some point?
Right. I mean, even now as we speak, there's talk in Saudi Arabia that some deal is about to be cut. There's reports that the Saudis have stopped the BlackBerry service. There's other reports saying that people are finding they can use them. So, RIM is certainly not going to give away these markets easily, depending on so we'll see what kind of deals get cut. But my hope would be that they don't knuckle under to these types of demands.
All right, well, David Callaway, thank you so much for the time. David Callaway, editor-in-chief of the website MarketWatch.
Thank you, Doug.